Nació en el Tíbet en 1948. Desde chico fue educado para monje budista. En esta nota recuerda la atmósfera que se respiraba en su monasterio cuando era chico y da cuenta de los cambios que se han evidenciado en las comunidades budistas en los últimos tiempos, tanto de carácter como de aspecto.
I was born in Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, in 1948. At the age of 7, I went to the monastery of Sera, which is in the city of Lhasa itself, about 5 kilometers from Lhasa city. So I spent the next 7 years in the monastery, going through the traditional monastic education, till it became impossible for the Tibetans to coexist with the Chinese. When the Tibetan people asked Chinese to leave their country and go back to China, but the Chinese, instead of listening, they cracked down on the Tibetan population, and that's why His Holiness the Dalai Lama and many Tibetans had to flee their country. So at that time, we stayed back another year. So we left in 1960, whereas His Holiness left in 1959. So in 1960, with my families, we left Tibet, and we came first to Sikkim, the part of India, and we stayed a few months there. Then we moved on to Kalimpong, another hill station town, a little further down from Sikkim, Gangtok. So I started my second part of my life in India, spending for a long time, many years. The life in the monastery, as far as I could remember, one of the things is a very relaxed and very quiet, very peaceful atmosphere in the monastery. As a child, when I went to the monastery when I was 7, for me it was not a really very difficult kind of life in the monastery. Of course, it was a very simple life. The economic basis of the monastery is not so very well, but still I never had any kind of lacking in my life. I enjoyed everything in the monastery. Now these days, I sometimes begin to miss that kind of life, and which I think is not longer possible to get it back again. Not necessarily in the conditions outside, but in our attitude itself. We have changed so much. That's something really I miss. It is not without any difficulties. Definitely there had been some difficulties, but that part of my experience never comes back to me. I have to try to intentionally try to remember, otherwise it never comes back. I always have the good memories coming back to me. So this is one, I think that we can manage to develop ourselves in the good memories of life rather than the unfortunate, unhappy memories of life. But many people tend to reflect more on the negative side than on the positive side. Fortunately for me, I am not able to reflect too much on the negative side. I tend to remember all the good parts of my life. So this is something I might have been able to develop an attitude of looking to the positive side of life. So this is what I can say is something I learned up from the time when I was in the childhood, in the monastery. Definitely I might have learned many good things there. It is free for everybody to go to the monastery. There is not really necessity of having to pay anything, especially for getting into the monastery. As long as you are interested into going for the monastic life, then you go over there, you will find some place, you will find some teacher to take care of you. So it is up to you. There is no any kind of restrictions. any. Not only there is the Tibetan people in Tibet has the right to go to monastery. Any people from any country at that time can enter into the monastery in Tibet. It's no difficulty at that time. We used to have many Indians from India, like Ladakh and Laos, from the Himalaya regions, from Bhutan, from Sikkim, then from Nepal, and then from also Mongolia and China. And there's some part of the Soviet Union or the Russia. Also, we used to have Mongolian tribes from those areas. So actually, the monasteries are very, very international in character and aspect.